This is Coach Lee, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about the phases of a rebound relationship. Take a second and click the subscribe button below so that you can be notified when I have more content that's helpful to your situation. And that includes mindfulness, attraction, marriage, and breakups. So how do I define a rebound relationship, if it's truly a rebound relationship? Well, that is when, after a breakup, someone tries to continue the advantages of having a relationship with someone new. And in many ways, that person projects the positives of the other person onto this relationship. They even sometimes will try to have the same songs or the same favorite restaurants or movies together with this person. And so it's an artificial, even disturbing kind of thing in that they try to almost clone the relationship that they just had. That's one type of rebound relationship. Another type, they try to do the opposite things on purpose, trying to convince themselves that they didn't really like the things they did with this other person or the relationship they had with this other person. And so they will do the exact opposite. Maybe with this other person, they went out all the time. But with this new person, they want to stay in and just cuddle on the couch and watch TV under a blanket. They could even be afraid of things that the other relationship had, and so they will avoid them in this new one. But the key part that characterizes a rebound relationship is that there has not been enough time to heal from the other relationship, and that the person is trying to continue the advantages of the relationship that they just got out of. And in that way, it's artificial and most likely not going to work long term, simply because the person begins to see it as artificial, and they then begin to lose attraction for this person. And if you are in no contact while your ex is in a rebound relationship, you can facilitate that faster, because the other person will notice your ex is thinking about you, and they'll even start asking, "What's wrong? Something bothering you? What's on your mind?" And your ex will say, "Oh, nothing." But they know better, and so they become needy and annoying and pestering your ex. And since you're in no contact, you seem a lot more mature and a lot less annoying. That's really, really oversimplifying it. And I do have videos on rebound relationships and how to get your ex back if they are in those. And I go into that in great detail in my emergency breakup kit, which you can get more information about in the link below. It's very powerful for helping you get your ex back, even if they're in a rebound relationship. As a matter of fact, them being in a rebound relationship is probably a blessing in disguise if you want to get them back. So the first phase or stage of a rebound relationship is relief through easy romance. That kind of explains itself, but basically the breakup was difficult. They didn't want to break up with you. They probably dreaded it. And if it was a long-term relationship, it wasn't something that they just woke up one day and thought they would do. It was something that developed within them over weeks, months, or even years, where they wanted to break up with you. And so they wrestled with it. There were probably times when they talked themselves out of it, when they were going to do it and they just couldn't do it because they still care about you and they don't want to hurt you. And so finally they get themselves past the bump, past this difficulty. They've broken up with you. And it was a stressful thing to do, and they want relief. And so easy romance with someone where they can just take up where they left off with you and enjoy those positives is sort of a way that they heal themselves and get relief from breaking up with you, which I know that's not what you want to hear, and it might even sound sick. And in some ways, it's certainly not a healthy thing. But that's what's going on in the first stage, and probably the stage that gets them to actually get into the rebound. Your ex's intent for this relationship is likely to change, because at the moment it's convenient, it's a relief, it's easy. But this other person, if they have genuine feelings for your ex, that's when the moment of truth will come. I have a video on Limerence, which I link to in the description below. And it's possible your ex could fall into limerence with this person, possibly because of what you two had together, because they are faking this. This is where they try to continue the positives. And so in some ways, they can overlook all the negatives and go into a limerence that really was caused because they had a relationship with you. It was like a springboard. And it's an odd concept, but it can happen. And again, this can be good news, because if you watch my video on limerence, which is linked to below, limerence is temporary. It's a scientific phenomenon that happens in relationships. A lot of relationships experience it, and it's not a bad thing, but it will end. And what needs to be underneath limerence when it's gone is companionship, commitment, friendship, those types of things, the feeling of family. And if those things are not there, then the two people no longer feel anything for each other. And they will even say, well, the spark is gone. It's just not there anymore. The love has worn off. Or they'll say, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. So the first stage is really a connection without a relationship. It's just sort of assuming a role that you played. The potential is there for it to go into the next stage. But like I said, it is still most likely temporary, as most rebound relationships are. So after there has been some time to collect between these two people, there becomes the desire to prove the relationship. That is, your ex knows what people think. They know what people say. Oh, this is just a rebound relationship. You're just not over so-and-so. Are you sure you're ready to be in a relationship? They hear that stuff and they get tired of it, because they want people to look at them and think they're in love and that they're happy. That's what people want. And so they want to prove that this thing is real. And that's why some rebounds last longer really than they should, is because people don't want to be a joke. And so they try to convince people, this is the real thing. This is real love. I've found the one. We're really a couple. And so some rebound relationships will last longer than they should, because today we know what a rebound is. Oh, they're just rebounding. We say that kind of stuff. It's still not the real deal. There's no way that they can recover from a breakup that quickly and love someone to that level yet. They might think that they do, and it's not impossible in the future for these two, but it's unlikely. One reason for that is because your ex is not ready emotionally. Once this new relationship has some time under its belt, your ex will know that. They'll start to feel that it's artificial. And when your ex reaches that point where he or she sees, this is artificial, I just did this because I wanted to keep feeling these things and to keep having the experience of the relationship I had before, even if they don't think it in terms of those words, usually it's the beginning of the end for the relationship, because all the past that they have had, even if it's just a few weeks, will look fake. Attraction will fall. Everything will be brought under the microscope in your ex's mind and heart. And usually they say, this is not real. I just need to end this one too and take some time for myself, or go back to you, especially if you've been in no contact. And again, I talk about that in my video on rebound relationships and in my emergency breakup kit. So the third reason that these relationships usually don't last that long is because the person begins to experience nostalgia and comparisons for the relationship that they had with you. So as the newness and the desire to prove this relationship begins to wear off, that's when they have to really take a hard look at who this person is and compare them to you and to the experiences they had with you. And so even if they go to the same restaurant, they'll be comparing. If they watch the same movie, they'll be comparing. How they kiss, they'll be comparing. And usually you have a big advantage here, because if you've been together with this person for a while, you're probably really good at kissing. You're like a good team at it. And so it'll be a little awkward here and there with this person. And even though they should know, well, that's just because this is a new relationship, even though they know that logically, which they might not think about it, but even if they do, emotionally, it still feels not as good. And that's a very important aspect of a relationship. And so that emotional connection will not be as strong. And so there will be even more of an effort to produce it, to try to fake it. And that's potential for your ex to look at this and say, this is artificial. And this is especially true because the relationship most likely did not begin with strong emotional attraction. Physical attraction was probably there, but that can't sustain a relationship long term. Now, if they knew this person for a long time and they were great friends, well, that's different. But many of the same principles still apply because they were not in a romantic relationship with this person. But basically, the mannerisms and characteristics of this person that were ignored or overlooked because your ex wanted this to look like a real relationship, well, now those things stick out. Now they're obvious because now maybe they're not getting that, oh, this is just a rebound, or are you sure you're ready to be in another relationship? Since they're not hearing that anymore, now the relationship itself is under the magnifying glass. And this is when they can begin to get into the next phase, which is regret and disappointment, to where they say that you were a better option, they cared about you more, what you two had was real, and that they miss you. And this is when no contact really begins to have a strong effect on your ex. And when they miss you and they start to look back at things and regret the breakup. And this is when they will try to distance themselves from the rebound person, and this person will feel it and even express it and become, as I talked about earlier, a little bit annoying, a little bit needy, unattractive, almost like a burden to your ex or a responsibility. And it is near the end of this stage that your ex usually abandons the rebound relationship and they want to reconnect with you. If you've been in no contact, then often the next step is for your ex to want to reconnect with you. And it will probably start small and casual. Just checking on you, seeing how you're doing, telling you that a band's in town, or that they ran into an old friend you two used to have together, something like that. And they just want to check on you, just want to see how you're doing. That's fine. It doesn't have to be some elaborate expression of love and regret for the breakup. They just want to extend the olive branch, to make some communication, and to get the ball rolling. So don't be disappointed or angry or think, well, I'm not going to respond until they say some grand gesture of love and regret and saying they want to get back together, which is what some other coaches suggest. And so they teach you to ignore them, which you probably have heard me talk about that in other videos. And I even have an article about should you ignore your ex and that kind of thing. And the bottom line is no. When this person's beginning to make the effort, if you ignore them, you will probably just help them move on, because who wants to be ignored and rejected? Nobody likes that. That's why hard to get is actually strategically very bad if you're wanting to attract this person. It may work at the very beginning, but then quickly goes away. And so many people that I've been on the phone with, so many clients, think they're doing it right because they're playing hard to get. And they wonder why they haven't heard from this person in months. Well, because nobody likes to be ignored or rejected. It's really that simple. And so they're not going to reach out if they think they're going to be ignored, because who wants that? So don't ignore them when they hit this stage and they reach out and they just want to make a connection, because there's some anxiety with them too. They probably think you're angry at them. They wonder if you'll reject them, which I know is ironic, but that is what is before you. And if you want your ex back, you need to accept reality and live in reality and not try to question human actions, which are very often confusing for all of us, even when they come from within us. Now, it's possible that when they get to this stage, they will fall back into the previous stage of wanting to prove that the relationship is real, even if they're wanting to prove it to themselves, just because they don't want to have to go through another breakup, and then do they try to get back with you, and when you reject them, it gets a little complex. And so it's possible they could fall back into that stage, but usually it plays out even faster, and they are stronger when they get to the point and they realize they just want out of this, and they possibly want to see if you want to get back with them, that's something that they're considering. Oftentimes that's what motivates them to completely end the relationship with the rebound, but sometimes they just realize that they need to get out of this, that it was too soon, that it's artificial, and either way, it's good news for you if you want them back. Your best bet to get your ex back while they're in this rebound relationship is to let the phases or stages happen, to just stand back, let them happen without your interference, without your contact. And I do have lots of videos on no contact, and the emergency breakup kit, I talk about things you can do during no contact to increase your chances of success. And there's a link below for the emergency breakup kit. But the bottom line is, leave them alone, don't contact them. You need to disappear so that you can be in contrast with this new person. I know it feels counterintuitive, but trust me, nearly 2 decades in the relationship recovery service, I can tell you this is the best way to go. So please click the subscribe button below so that you can be notified when I have more content that's helpful to your situation. This has been Coach Lee with my ex-back coach Rebound.com. Get more information on my emergency breakup kit so that you can have some actual guidance in getting your ex back instead of just going by your instincts, which are often so wrong right after a breakup. You can learn from my 2 decades in the relationship recovery service. This has been Coach Lee with myexbackcoach.com. Thank you for watching.